welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter a very common, honestly kind of comfortable illusion. When you think of Cristiano Ronaldo, your mind probably jumps straight to the finished product, right? The luxury cars, the massive global brands, the flawless physique, and those absolutely unbelievable record-breaking numbers. It's so easy to look at the greatest goal scorer in football history and just assume, he was destined for the throne, that it was all just written in the stars. But destiny? Destiny is a lie. In this explainer, we're diving into the dark, unfiltered story of how his entire career is actually a fortress built entirely out of the bricks of rejection.
So there's this massive disconnect between what we see and what actually happened. On the left side of your screen, you've got the illusion, destiny, talent, perfection. That's the flawless 5-time Ballon d'Or winner we see today posing for the cameras. But then, you look at the reality on the right, rejection, isolation, surgery. Before the world even knew his name, he was rejected by his environment, rejected by his own body, and eventually rejected by the football elite. We're not just going to sit here and watch a highlight reel of his goals today. We're going to break down exactly how rejection created an absolute monster on the pitch.
Trial 1. Environmental rejection.
To really grasp the architecture of his mindset, we got to step back in time a bit. The year is 1997. Picture this. A 12-year-old boy packs up a single, flimsy cardboard suitcase and leaves his tiny home island of Madeira. He crosses the ocean, landing in the massive capital city of Lisbon to join the Sporting CP Academy. I mean, imagine being 12 years old, totally isolated, terrified, and just profoundly homesick in this sprawling city. You'd probably think a prestigious football academy would be a welcoming place for young talent, right? Well, for young Cristiano, it was literally a wolf den. They mocked him as a peasant. The second he opened his mouth, his thick island accent triggered just endless waves of cruel mockery from the city kids. His own teammates laughed at him relentlessly. Even the academy staff kind of treated him like a statistical long shot. Just another kid who probably wouldn't make it. The isolation was completely crushing. Every single night, this young boy would sit by a public payphone in the academy, crying, begging his mom to let him come home. He felt entirely, thoroughly rejected by his new world.
But here's where the story flips. He didn't pack his bags. He didn't quit. He looked at those boys who were mocking him and made a silent, binding promise to himself. You laugh at the way I talk, but tomorrow you will scream at the way I play. That exact moment right there is when the relentless, unbreakable Ronaldo mentality was born. He realized a harsh truth. He couldn't change his accent, and he definitely couldn't change where he came from.
So because he couldn't change his reality, he forged a new one through what became his midnight routine. He'd sneak out of his room at midnight, scrounge up these heavy milk crates to use as makeshift weights, and just train in the pitch black. While the kids who bullied him were fast asleep, he was grinding. He hardened his body and his mind through these brutal, secret late-night sessions. The rejection from his peers? It didn't break him. It actually became the exact friction he needed to sharpen his skills.
Trial 2. Biological rejection. Now the threat suddenly shifts from the cruel kids in the locker room to an enemy he couldn't just outwork, his very own body. Fast forward to when he's just 15 years old. His talent is becoming undeniable at this point. He's faster, sharper, and just way more skilled than everyone else on the pitch. His dream is right there, literally within arm's reach. But just as he starts to truly dominate, a catastrophic medical discovery threatens to shut the whole thing down permanently. The medical verdict was devastating. He had an irregular, dangerously fast heart rhythm. Career over. During a routine checkup, doctors found his heart was racing at maximum capacity, even when he was completely at rest. The reality of that is brutal. Simply running on the pitch could literally cause his heart to stop. His career was effectively over before it really even started. Think about the psychological weight of that for a teenager. You've sacrificed everything, you are so close, and your own biology rejects you. No way. But accepting defeat, that is just not in his DNA. Instead of giving up and heading back to Madeira, he opted for laser surgery. It's a high-risk procedure to cauterize the malfunctioning pathways in his heart. He chose survival through a massive, life-altering gamble. He risked his own life for this. Terrifying, sure, but to him, living a life without football wasn't really living at all. And you know what the most astonishing part of this whole ordeal is? 2 days. That's all it took. Just 2 days after being discharged from the hospital, he laces his boots right back up, walks out onto the training pitch, and starts running again. When his physical body said no, his mind completely overrode the system. After that surgery, he started treating life through a completely different lens.
He felt like he was living on borrowed time, and he flat out refused to waste a single second of it.
Trial 3, Global Rejection.
All right, so the year is 2003, and a young Ronaldo enters the brutal, violent, unforgiving ecosystem of the English Premier League with Manchester United. And the media, they immediately branded him the show pony, the diver, all fluff, no finish, crybaby. He arrives as the skinny teenager with frosted tips and a passion for fancy footwork, and the English football world absolutely hated it. Senior players in his own locker room were openly frustrated by his theatrics. Opposing fans, we're talking 60,000 of them at a time, would brutally boo him every single time he touched the ball. The media hammered him every day. The entire football ecosystem wanted him to fail. They threw the weight of the world at him to try and break his confidence.
But they made a fatal mistake. The world saw his tears as a sign of weakness, but Ronaldo, he knew those tears fueled an absolute obsession for perfection. The media called him a crybaby because of his emotional outbursts when he got fouled or missed a shot. But those tears weren't a sign of fear or fragility, not even close. They were the physical manifestation of an obsessive, almost terrifying desire to be flawless. The football world completely misinterpreted what was going on in his head. They really thought they were breaking him.
In reality, he weaponized all of that global hate, feeding his ego to build a heavyweight machine. He took the vicious media hate, the deafening boos from the crowds, the mockery from the critics, and he fed it straight into his ego. He used it as fuel to physically transform his body from a frail teenager into an absolute powerhouse machine. He stopped playing to please the crowds and started playing to destroy the opposition. The world rejected his style, right? So he forced the entire world to adapt to his unparalleled greatness.
The architecture of greatness.
Which brings us to the core takeaway of this entire explainer, and it's time to pull this narrative directly back to your own life. I want you to rethink the very concept of rejection. Rejection is not an endpoint. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a filtering system that weeds out the weak and refines the unstoppable. Ronaldo's story is living, breathing proof of this. When you watch him play today, understand what you're truly looking at. You are not looking at a man who had an easy paved path. You are looking at someone molded by intense isolation, threatened by a failing heart, and hunted by the global media. Rejection isn't a wall, guys. It's literally just a tool for refinement.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. What is your excuse? The next time life hands you a massive rejection, I want you to remember that skinny, crying kid from Adara. Whenever you face a roadblock, you really only have two choices. You can let the rejection break you, or you can use it to become legendary. The choice is yours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope this gives you a powerful new framework for tackling the obstacles in your own journey. Keep learning, keep pushing, and I'll catch you in the next one.